Hey Patreon. Sorry it's been a little bit. I'm going to be making a few more of these every week. Trying to keep you guys all caught up. 4th of July was earlier this month. Of course, for most of you, it's just the 4th day of the month. But here in the U.S., it's, of course, our Independence Day, America's birthday. I think we're about 243 years old. It's not so old for a country. But this was my first Independence Day in the U.S. in 10 years. Believe it or not, I've been out of the country every summer. So it was a bit odd. I'd kind of forgotten how America celebrated these days. I remember fireworks and hot dogs and families getting together, buying matching T-shirts at Old Navy. But I didn't know if that's still what we did. I mean, 10 years can be a long time, especially in a country changing so quickly. Like the USA. I had to work on the 4th of July, work on these tour boats, so we had a lot of tourists, of course. I work at a place called Navy Pier, which is actually the most visited location between the East Coast and Las Vegas in the US. So a lot of tourists. We had the big fireworks at nighttime, and we had 5 boats out on the lake during the fireworks. I had a long day giving tours, so I was on the dock. My job was kind of to keep everything safe, keep people from falling in. A lot of people were drinking by this point. And there's this nice little area right by the water. It's where all the boat staff work. It's where we tie up the boats. It's very dangerous for kids. Kids can fall in. A lot of people try to take selfies there. And everybody who works for the boats, we try to keep people back on the other side of the chain, keep them safe. If the police or the Coast Guard see them, they can fine them, so they have to pay some money. So my job was to try to, not only work on the boats and bring them back in, but also to keep people out of this area. I had a uniform on, I had a flashlight, and I had to walk up and down, up and down. Basically, there were about 15 people in this area where they weren't supposed to be. And I would say in a loud voice, "Folks, please get behind the chain." And one person would do it. And the next person, they already heard me say it to the first guy, but they would make me say it again. "Folks, please get behind the chain." It was bad. People ignoring the rules, wanting to feel special, right? The rules don't apply to them. I walked down saying this. I walked back saying the same thing. I saw a group of people see me coming, jump over the chain just to take a photo. I said, "Get behind the chain." They jumped over and said, "Sorry." And I said, "You're not sorry. You did it on purpose. You wanted to do it. You're not sorry, right? You just don't want to have to pay the penalty. You don't want there to be any consequences for your actions." I was very disappointed, but it was understandable, their actions. Not 15 seconds later, I see a stampede of thousands of people, thousands, just sprinting down the pier. Now, this pier sticks out into the lake, so it's connected to the land, and there's a long, skinny pier, nothing but water around it. People were running away from the land towards the end of the pier. And I'm thinking, what's going on here? People are saying there was gunshots, there's a gunman, there's an active shooter. And here I think, oh boy, oh man, back in the States, big crowd, busiest day of the year, active shooter. First thing I think of is this is a whole new situation. I immediately forgot what was going on. I said, okay, what needs to happen here? I tried to observe, right, the behavior of these people. It was outrageous. Young people in their 20s were pushing old people in their 70s out of the way, pushing them into glass walls. One guy was trying to protect his girlfriend, who was fine. She was able-bodied, right? She was like 20, 22 years old. He picked up a metal chair and he threw it out of the way into a group of people, like families and all that. And I'm thinking, how selfish are people? Anyway, I didn't really have time to dwell on this too much. I wanted to find out what was happening. I wanted to make sure people were out of harm's way. We helped hide some people. Some people were looking for their families, tried to calm them down. I took my flashlight. I started to walk the opposite direction of the people running. I figured I'd go to the source and see what it actually was. A lot of times, these are just panics, right? One person starts running, everybody starts running. So I'm going the opposite direction, asking people, did you see anything? Did you actually see anything? No, no, no. In the wake of all this chaos, there were hundreds of pairs of shoes on the ground, flip-flops, baby strollers that had been abandoned, phones, wallets, hats, glasses, clothing, just all over the ground. It looked like a riot or something. Finally, and as I'm passing the security guards who are just flabbergasted, they have no idea what's going on. I get to kind of the middle of everything, and people are talking about a stabbing, and then I hear over a police radio that there have been 3 people stabbed, and that everyone is in custody. It was just some 14-year-old kid, one kid with one knife. There was no gun. Reports of gunshots were fake and all that. So I try to go back down the pier and let everybody know it's okay. People are still freaking out, you know, which is expected. But it was just very sad to kind of see the aftermath. One teenager having so much fear and angst, trying to show off to another teenager. He stabs him. And because of that, the busiest night of the year, the most visited tourist site in the middle of the country, loses 5 hours of business, millions of dollars. All because of a little bit of fear, a little bit of overreaction. People lost their wallets. People couldn't find their families. People lost their strollers. We had a family hiding out underneath the dock, like with their feet dangling in the water. People were texting their loved ones, like, I'll never see you again, I'm going to get shot here in Chicago. And it was so sad because I think a lot of places in the world have it a lot worse off. But people act okay. And here, things are pretty great. But there's so much fear and anger all the time. People are upset because they had to wait in line too long. People are upset because a third party is trying to, mislead them between a ticket vendor and there's just so much mistrust, and we seem to blow everything up. So this 4th of July, this Independence Day celebration, I think was a great example of kind of America under a microscope, and how tiny little problems can get blown up. And we really saw what humanity was in those moments of crisis. You saw some people trying to take care of each other, but you saw a lot of people just being completely selfish, just pricks. And it frustrated me. So I hope I can dig around, get some more stories, and find something better to report on.